My name is Dominique Ferguson. I am a spoken word artist by nature, a producer by nurture, and I studied theater and film throughout my life. I have a company called Mad Poetics Productions where we produce multiple shows throughout the year in order to pay tribute to artists in Montreal, artists nationally as well. And I am also a first time publisher in 2023.
In kicking off the Heritage and Hustle project, Dominique Ferguson was a natural first choice. His work stands as a beacon of creativity, weaving together the richness of tradition with innovative storytelling. More than just an artist, Kim embodies a unique perspective on the intersection of art and Black history. In exploring his journey and the depth of his craft, we not only celebrate his achievements, but also delve into the heart of a creator, shaping our cultural narrative. Kim's contribution is a testament to the vibrancy and resilience in the tapestry of Black excellence.
I would want to sit down and have dinner with and discussion with James Baldwin, Denzel Washington, and Chadwick Boseman. Why these three artists is because they basically epitomize my life's journey in terms of the different careers that they have. James Baldwin is a prominent writer and activist. Denzel Washington, I think, everybody knows him, and of course Chadwick Boseman as well. Um, I have been practicing art since my eyes were at my knees, and writing has been a huge part of my career. And I've always wondered what it, especially when it came to James Baldwin, I wondered what would his thoughts be on the state of the world today and how things are happening today. And so having that discussion for me would be really interesting from an activist point of view, from the point of view of someone who was born in the 1920s and now we're in 2020, to know his perspective on that. With Denzel, I've always admired him. I've always admired the versatility of the characters that he has. And in recent times, we're hearing more and more in the media how much of an activist he is and how outspoken he's been, because we hear it through his roles, but we don't necessarily always hear it through his voice, and that's a huge thing for me. And Chadwick Boseman, um, I've been a huge comic book fan forever, and having Chadwick be the first incarnation of Black Panther was a real beauty for me, and I just want to be able to just have a discussion with him and just sit down around some good food and talk to these amazing men in our community. What would I ask Chadwick Boseman? Um, he played some of the most iconic roles in our history. Outside of Black Panther, he played Thurgood Marshall, he played James Brown, and he played Jackie Robinson. And I have a thing for historical figures and historical black male figures, because there are a lot of figures outside of Malcolm X that are not spoken of, outside of Martin Luther King that we don't hear a lot of. And I'd want to ask him about what was it like to inculcate these very three different personalities, and some of them were could be considered polarizing when you think about the difference between James Brown and Thurgood Marshall. That's two people on two different spectrums of blackness, and in terms of how they conducted themselves. I'd want to pick his brain about what would have been his hopes for the future, what future roles he would have wanted to play had he been able to beat uh, the 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 disease that was ravaging his body. It's the questions that we all have, the questions that are all deep down inside of us. How do I see my artistry contributing to the legacy of Black history? Well, I'm fortunate in that I was a part of the writers group of Blackout, the Concordia Computer Riots, and it was published last year. For those who don't know, that story, that that play was born of the 1969 so-called riots that happened at the Sir George Williams campus, now known as the Concordia Hall building on the ninth floor. For me, this is a moment in Black history that has been put on paper, but with a Caribbean, Afro Caribbean spin. So, what we did was we took the history based on what was written at the time, which was kind of, you can say, a bit of the propaganda because it was white people writing articles and writing reports and stuff like that. And we took our knowledge of what the students had actually experienced, and we gave it a new voice. And so for me, with my art, I'm always seeking to provide a new voice, whether it is for historical projects like Blackout, the Concordia computer riots, or I'm currently working on two projects at the same time. I'm working on a discussion between James Baldwin and Trayvon Martin, which is going to be a play. And I'm also working on a modern rendition of Anansi. So it's got a Canadian Afro Caribbean twist to it, and I want to bring it into today. And for me, it's all about creating art that can live on and give to the next generation. And I feel like that's the best way for it to become a part of Black history. What is a moment in Black history which inspired a change or a shift in my career or artistry? There's several, but the most impactful one is it's both in Black history and my personal history, is the assassination of my grandfather. He was assassinated on April 3rd, 2000. He was a radio journalist, an activist, and he he was an important figure in Haitian history. And so what ended up happening is several years later, I didn't realize this, but I started working in radio. And it was extremely, extremely important to me to always tell the truth and to always advocate for people who didn't have a voice and to provide a platform for people who didn't have a voice. And so, in almost everything that I've been doing in the last decade and a half of my company, Mad Poetics Productions, it's always been to provide voices for other people and also to tell the truth and to show my true self to my audience. And so that was a huge moment for me, that kind of, even though it took years for it to actually inspire the change, it still is something that I carry with me today. And for folks who don't know, his name is Jean Dominique.
In the tapestry of Montreal's arts, Kim Dominique Ferguson stands as a true luminary. Through his Mad Poetics open mic shows and thought provoking plays, Kim has woven threads of creativity that inspire and provoke. Kim, embodying the spirit of Busta Rhymes' lyric, "If I ain't gonna be the greatest, I gotta be the greatest myself," has consistently pushed artistic boundaries. As I conclude this first episode of the Heritage and Hustle Project, let's collectively acknowledge Kim's brilliance and dedication, follow his journey, support his art, and shower him with the flowers he deserves. Kim, thank you for being a beacon of inspiration in Montreal's cultural landscape. May your creativity continue to blossom, enrich our lives with every performance and every word. Cheers to you, Kim Dominique Ferguson, for gracing our city with your unparalleled talents.